Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. Chris, Ohio State, the reigning national champions of college football. How many wins, how many losses this year, Chris, for Ohio State?
Yeah, I'll get to it. Look, man, you know my thoughts about this. I don't think anybody's going undefeated this year. I know that's a bold statement, but it's hard to do, right? We're not back 20 years ago where it was a lot easier, I think, back in the day to go undefeated. Now with the NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff, money being dispersed around teams pretty evenly, it's tough to do. And if you lose a game, it doesn't really cost you anything, right? Ohio State's a perfect example of that. They lost 2 games last year and ended up winning the Natty. So I got to go with 10-2. I'll pick the losses here. This game against Texas, week 1, is going to be a good one. I honestly think probably 2 of the top 5 teams in the country. I have them dropping this game to Texas Christian. And then I also have a loss at Illinois. I know that is kind of shocking, kind of surprising. But Ohio State fans should be happy on the other end. I got them beating Michigan this year. I want to hear your thoughts. What's your record prediction on the Buckeyes this season?
Chris, I'm gonna tell you, and it pains me to tell you why you're wrong, but I also went 10-2.
Okay.
Sub out the Illinois for Penn State. That was where we might disagree. I totally agree with you. Let's start here. What's your most important game? It kind of sounds like you think the Texas game or so might be.
Yeah, I think the Texas game's important, but I also throw it out because it's not a conference game, right? Like it's not going to kill Ohio State. Here's the thing, Christian. I think Ohio State's one of the top 5-6 teams in the country every year. I mean, they reload every year. I think that Illinois game, honestly, is going to be a tough one. I'm a little higher on Illinois probably than you, and that's fine. The reason why I didn't pick Penn State is because Ohio State beats Penn State every freaking year. I have yet to see James Franklin beat Ohio State. It's ridiculous. Like, I'd be a fool to think that they are. I'm not saying they can't. I know Penn State, we'll talk about them. They're going to be a really good team this year too. So I had to pick a loss in there. I took Illinois. I don't think it's going to be Wisconsin or Rutgers. I honestly think, and I know people watching this could say, well, Chris, they could lose to Michigan because Ohio State can't beat Michigan, right? So I actually have them beating Michigan this year. I know it's Ann Arbor. I get it. But yeah, like I said, I'm gonna go 10-2 with Ohio State Christian. I want to throw that question back at you though. What do you think their most important game is? I know Texas will be important, obviously, to see where they stack up.
Yeah, absolutely. I put Texas down just because I feel as if, look, they're coming off the national championship last year. Julian Sayans is going to be the guy. Hadn't played a ton of meaningful football at this level. Transferred from Alabama last year. What is this team going to look like this year? They retained some good players, but they lost, a shit ton of production from last year's team. Starting the game off, yes, it is a home game for them. They don't have to travel to Texas, which is good. But at the same time, we saw Texas last year go on the road and whoop the shit out of Michigan at the Big House. So this Texas team can travel. They can play well. And sometimes it's kind of like Notre Dame, who we're going to talk about here in a bit. They kind of have a brutal first couple game stretch there. And with a new quarterback starting with very limited experience, actually no experience, but we'll talk about them in a bit. How that might define the Julian Sayans era here. Very hard to do. Plus, as teams win a national championship, they kind of tend to get a little not as hungry the next 2 years. They're like a dog that's been fed. They're not whining as much. They're not on edge. They're content. So that's what I want to see when they play Texas. Can Ryan Day prove that he truly is one of the elite coaches in this sport? I think he's a great coach. He's got a national championship behind him. But if that's all, so did Urban Meyer, though, right? At the same side of it. He only won 1 national championship at Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that to me is the big part there. Chris, I want to touch base on this just real quick, talking about some of their losses. Some of the key losses: quarterback Will Howard, Emeka Buka, talented wide receiver, Tyleek Williams, Quinshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson, JT Tuamalau. I already messed that up, so I apologize. But, one of their great pass rushers there. Linebacker Jack Sawyer, cornerback Denzel Burke, and their defensive coordinator, which I think is going to be a little more important than what people realize, Jim Knowles. I want to touch base with you on that real quick. How important do you think Jim Knowles leaving and going to Penn State is going to hurt this team?
Here's the thing. This was one of the most interesting moves of the offseason, that he leaves an Ohio State team to go to a rival in Penn State at the same position. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't get a head coaching job. It's weird. I don't know the dynamics. I'm sure some Ohio State fans probably know, obviously more than we do, kind of why that was. But here's the thing, though. Like, I talk about Ohio State like this every year. Yes, they're losing a lot of pieces, right? I mean, they lost Chip Kelly, their offensive coordinator, right? I think they promoted, was it Brian Hartline, the legendary wide receiver coach over there, to offensive coordinator. I don't think anything drops off there. But defensively, here's my thing. Like, I don't have necessarily concerns about it, because they just reload with talent constantly at Ohio State. They're one of those top 5-6 programs, like Georgia, like Alabama, kind of like Oregon. I mean, they have so much talent. The question is, can they come together and put a good team together? Defensively, what Knowles did there was very impressive, right? We came on our first year years ago and said Ohio State's defense was soft. Remember those days where they're giving up 200-300 yards rushing against Michigan? They changed that. I mean, they had one of the better defenses in the country last year, if not the best. I don't think they drop off much. I really don't. Yes, they've lost some key pieces at linebacker and defensive end, but it's Ohio State, man. It's hard to talk badly about Ohio State because they have so much talent, Richard.
I agree with you to a point. This is where I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think I would say 90% of their games, because of Ryan Day, because of the talent, because of what Urban Meyer and some of these coaches have built this program into, they're going to win those games. It's not that, but it's the Penn States of the world. Can they go in and beat the Penn States? Can they beat the Alabamas when they're really good? Can they beat the Georgias? Those teams in meaningful games, the Texases even, can they beat them when it matters most? Can that defense hold up and not give up 45 points in a meaningful game? That's the real question that I have for this team. And we'll talk about their new defensive coordinator. Do you know who their new defensive coordinator is, Chris?
God, I didn't write it down, and I was just talking about it the other day. Who is it, Christian?
The wheelin', the dealin', the former Lions head coach.
Oh, Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia. I don't have a pencil here, but by God, Matt Patricia, I think, will be a good defensive coordinator for him. But to me, I look at it like in a Georgia context. Is he going to be, is he going to be Todd Monken, or is he going to be more Mike Bobo-esque there, right? Where he's good, but he's not great.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, Matt Patricia's background, I mean, what he did in the NFL obviously comes from the Bill Belichick tree of the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken. Way back in the day, they've always had great defenses. I think he's a smart guy. And that's where I think, honestly, Ohio State, we're a little different here. I don't think they fall off much defensively. Like, I really like what they do. Obviously, the Big Ten is a tough conference. I mean, especially at the top, they're very top-heavy. Like I said, with you, Ohio State's going to be one of the best teams in the country again. Like I said, 10-2 might upset some of the people on the show here, but the Ohio State people. But like I said, they could easily go 11-0. Hell, maybe they run the table here too. I mean, they are that good. They are that talented. I think you're crazy to think that Ohio State's not going to be one of the best 5 or 6 teams in the country.
Agreed. Real quick, I'll just touch on some of the key additions and some of their top returning players, and then we'll kind of get into our last thoughts here on them. Key additions: running back C.J. Donaldson coming out from West Virginia, tight end Max Clare from Purdue, defensive end Bo Atkinson, one of the best edge rushers coming out of this transfer portal class this year. They also bring back Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, 2 of their top receivers from last year. Linebacker Sonny Styles had over 100 tackles and 5 pass breakups. Linebacker Arvell Reese, 43 total tackles. Cornerback Davison Igbenagason. I think I'm getting better with these name pronunciations here, Chris. Just keep me away from some of the Hawaiian names. I think we'll be okay. But and Caleb Downs, one of the best safeties in all of football, had 81 tackles, 6 pass breakups last year. Chris, you kind of give me your last thoughts on Ohio State here.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think Ohio State will be competing for a Big Ten title again this year. Obviously, they got left out last year. It was Penn State and Oregon, but I think Ohio State will be there this year. The game against Penn State is going to be huge, right, to kind of determine that. My big question is for Ohio State, we haven't talked about it a lot, can they beat Michigan, man? That was probably one of the biggest upsets of the year last year. I don't think Michigan. I still don't know how they won that football game. I mean, I watched that whole thing twice actually, and Ohio State looked like it's just crazy because the talent discrepancy between the two. That's a big game this year again, right? I mean, that's got to be riding on Ryan Day, right? Like their biggest thing with Ohio State fans, obviously, we know they want to beat Michigan. If you don't beat Michigan, it's not a successful season, but yet they went on, won a national title. So I do think Ohio State will be there. Do I think they win a natty this year, Christian? I want to ask you that question. I think they don't because it's impossible to win two. But if Ohio State didn't win it last year, I think they'd be probably a shoo-in to at least playing that national title game this year.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. I can't say. I think they'll make it to the playoffs.
Oh,
but I don't think, to me this year, I don't think they're going to make a deep run. I think they need to get a little more experience, get some of these guys some more touches in this, and that's where I think they'll down the road be competing for that natty again.